What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Get the Bag podcast, episode 10. We're at 10 episodes, Tim.
I know.
The
Hey
heck?
fam, what's going on? What's
What's
up,
going
G?
on? I'm your host, Gladia. Got my co host, Tim. We have a very, very special guest today. But before we get started, I always like to mention this before, but please post your questions throughout the chat, throughout the episode. We'll be happy to kind of answer any of those questions along the way. I always like to dedicate some time at the end for to review Q&A. But today's episode, should wholesalers get their real estate license? I think it's a trendy topic, right, Tim?
Oh
Going
yeah,
around the real estate community with all these regulations coming
exactly.
down on wholesalers. And so that's why I'm really excited to bring on Kayla Holbert. She's coming from Vegas, technical or I should say mechanical engineer background. It's
Wow, that's
really, yeah, may
amazing.
have to
That's awesome.
ask her a little bit about that. Um, she discovered wholesaling back in 2019. Somehow, was able to quit her job shortly after that, met a mentor, and,
Mhm.
I think her business took off from there. Fast forward to now, I think they have a team of 7
Mhm.
members, which is amazing. She oversees the acquisition and the side of the business. Let's welcome
Love it.
Kayla. What's going on, Kayla?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so excited to have you here. I know, sounds like you've been plugging away the last couple, um, seeing your business posting and everything like that.
Trying to, yeah, it's I feel like the end of the year and the first couple months of this year kind of helped us get back on our feet, recover from the COVID situation. So things are definitely looking up for us now.
That's awesome. So yeah, we'll kind of dive a little bit deep into like your background and, what kind of got you interested because 2019, this was before COVID,
hmm
right?
Yes.
So what you kind of got started before the hype, because I feel like COVID kind of got everybody into gear of like, what do I do next? So
Mhm.
what made you back in 2019, back on the time machine? You were a mechanical engineer. Were you a student or were you working as that?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of both. I was majoring in mechanical engineering, and because of that, I got an internship. One of our power companies out here called like Envy Energy.
Mhm.
They brought several interns on like myself, and for the first like 2 weeks of the internship, they didn't have any work for us to do. They weren't really prepared to take us on, so we kind of just sat in our desks all day behind a computer and had freedom to search whatever we wanted to do. I was on YouTube. I don't know how it happened. I can't explain it to you, but I saw Max Maxwell video. I don't know how it came up in my recommended, but I
Nice.
clicked it. I watched it, and that was the I think it was October of 2019, first time I ever even heard about wholesaling.
Mhm.
And after his video, got recommended other videos. I was seeing checks, cars, a whole bunch of like cool hype stuff about
Right.
wholesaling.
Right.
But I still got lost. I got lost in the videos. I was on YouTube like 10 hours a day, just learning. I ended up coming across Robert Kiyosaki's videos and read his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks after watching my first YouTube video about wholesaling, I quit my job. Not because I was a successful wholesaler. I wouldn't recommend people to quit their job that soon. It was because I was really excited. I was like, oh, this is possible. I didn't plan ahead and I just quit. And I kind of regret that for a little bit. I was broke for a very long time, but I kind of believed in the I guess the concept of wholesaling, and I started putting out some bandit signs. I had some savings, so I spent like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 on like a ton of bandit signs and was putting them up.
Mhm.
But that didn't work for me. So I was about to quit, and then I went on there this bigger pockets like group forum or something, and I posted,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm in Vegas. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Can someone help me?" And before I got banned for that post actually, because apparently you can't reach out like that. You have to be provided some kind of value.
Mhm.
Interesting.
But that's where I met my mentor, who is now my partner. He was like, "Hey, I'm in Vegas as well." We swapped numbers, and we kind of went from there. I guess
Oh, wow.
That's
That,
awesome.
it was very quick.
Yes.
Again, I'm not sure how it happened, but I fell into it and loved it ever since. So
Yeah. It's kind of funny because that's how I fell into wholesaling as well too, was Max Maxwell, and that's how
Shout
we
out to
kind of,
Max
yeah,
Maxwell.
exactly. Shout out to Max
Yeah.
Maxwell, right? Because that was the intro, and then that's how I met Chris, and then that's the story. It goes on from there, but
Hmm.
that's amazing. So tell us more about like the real estate agent side too. Like,
Okay.
when did you get started with that, or did you wholesale first, and then, or did you get your license first?
Yeah, so I was just wholesaling up until I want to say it was June or July I got my license. I think it was June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is because, like, quite often we'll come across leads where cash offer doesn't work,
Yeah.
and we were sending it out to some other agent colleagues we had. But my partner was like, "Well, why don't one of us should get licensed?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." I really like doing new things, so kind of
Yeah.
soon as something comes up, I'm like, "Oh, I'm on it, I'm on it."
Mm-hmm.
So I got my license, and now what we're able to do is keep all the deals in house. If we get a listing, we were able to close that. We don't have to send it to anyone else, and it just makes things a little, I guess, more convenient for everybody.
Right.
Um, what I will say though about getting your license, because I know that's the theme of this podcast, should wholesalers get their license?
Correct.
Um, it depends. There's there's a bunch of restrictions behind having your license and being a wholesaler. Were you guys tuned in on the Jerry Norton and Zach Ginn? Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I won't say too much about it, but I do believe that if you do want to wholesale and practice business professionally and ethically, you should have some type of real estate background. Even if you're not
Mm-hmm.
licensed, you should know what agents know, because there's a lot of wholesalers who are unethical, who just doing it for the money. They're daisy chaining deals. And
Right.
so I want to say it comes down to the team you have. If you're a one man team, I don't recommend getting your license as soon as possible, because, like I said, there's a bunch of things you can't do. Like when you lock up a wholesale deal in the state of Nevada as an agent, you also have to present a duties owed to your client because you're an agent, even if you're not listing it. If you don't do that, that's a $5,000 fine. Well, what if the seller who property you just locked up doesn't like agents? You just lost that deal and you don't have anyone on your team to help you because you're
Right.
uninsured.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have maybe 2, 3, 4 partners, I recommend someone in your circle get licensed, to handle those listings. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed. You don't have to, but it would help to have some knowledge and take a real estate test or course or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much regulation. I also saw the other episode where, Pace Jamil,
Mm-hmm.
um, Jerry Norton, I think there was somebody else too on there, who were discussing like what's the future of wholesaling. Like there's all
Mm-hmm.
these regulations coming down. I think Atlanta now, right? I think there was one that Tim we were talking about where if you reach out the first touch, you can't,
Mm-hmm.
and they say no, you can't reach out
Yeah,
a
that's
second time.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago now, you have to get your real estate license. So there's all these regulations going down, and I'm sure like Vegas, California, like will soon probably follow. How do you feel about that? I mean, it sounds like you'll be good because you're licensed, but what do you feel about like regulations coming down on like wholesalers?
Um, I'm kind of 50-50, honestly. Part of me likes regulation because it will weed out all of those unethical wholesalers. I mean, in Vegas, there's a lot of them. There's people who will send us a deal, right? But there's 50 other people attached to it. No one has it under contract. Like, what's going on here? And that
Mm-hmm.
is
Right,
what gives us a bad name. I mean, a lot of people think wholesalers are terrible people because of that reason, but there's
right,
truly a genuine way to do business in the wholesaling community. And I feel like regulations would help people understand that. But at the same time, who's coming up with these regulations? Who's controlling
Mm-hmm.
what is good and what is bad? That's where I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But as of right now, I think establishing some type of common practice agreed upon by several members of the wholesaling community may be beneficial for the future if we can kind of, agree on what should and what shouldn't be done.
Yeah, and I know G and I had talked about this too, and because real estate has NARs, right? And wholesaling doesn't have an organization or someone to represent us as wholesalers, right? So
Right.
that's what it's hard to have a rollout of a standard for just wholesalers. So I feel like there needs to be some kind of help in getting awareness about wholesaling, because I think the biggest thing that happened in Atlanta, no one represented wholesaling as a positive thing. Um, when they passed the law, it was all about protecting the realtors, and
Right.
there was no voice there. So I think that's some of the problem is that we need some kind of representation to actually say, hey, it's good. Wholesaling's good. We actually help people out, in doing these deals. But and I think they talked about that in the podcast is that there's good wholesalers and there's bad wholesalers. There's good realtors and there's bad realtors, right? So
Right.
it it goes into the one of those two things too. But
Mhm.
your take is, I think, since you have a real estate license and you do wholesaling, you're, you know, you have both benefits, right? So, I guess, is your partner a real estate agent as well, too, or not?
He is not. I'm
Okay.
the only agent in the team.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Interesting. So, how long from the time you started real estate and you're like doing bandit signs and everything, how long was that time period until you met your mentor?
I want to say it was maybe a month. Because I met
Okay.
him. I can't remember. Maybe November of 2019. It was towards the end. All this happened at the end, but I went maybe 3 or 4 weeks on my own trying to do bandit signs and pulling a few lists and cold calling, and it wasn't working. So I'm yeah. After a month of meeting him, we kind of so the company right now, I'm with Great House Buyers. I'll just start from the beginning. And when I met
Okay.
him, I found out he started the company, he owned the company, but he was by himself at the time. And I told him where I was struggling. He told me what he needed help with, and we realized that I'd be better acquisitions and he'd be dispo. And it was just he and I for maybe 6 months. I was making calls. He's talking to buyers. We kind of had that partnership, and then we ended up growing from there. We found our first partner. His name's Jeff. Summer of 2020, and kind of like every 6 months, I want to say we just about added someone new to the team. Um, and yeah, like I said, a month after starting, I met him and we grew.
Oh wow, that's pretty quick because usually like for you to have like that vulnerability be like I need help, like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I think we
Yeah.
talked about that last week in our talking about health is wealth is like we don't do that enough, and like being vulnerable and being like
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this on my own. A lot of people would have just grinded it out if things weren't working, be like, oh well, let me just keep going, and it's kind of like they're scared of asking for help. But you just went out there, although your post got banned, but obviously somebody saw it.
Yeah,
um, yeah,
I would love to add on to that, because
yeah,
I get a lot of people asking. Well, a lot of people first of all think I'm by myself. They see my social media and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"You're doing this by yourself." There's no way
Yeah.
you can have a successful business or some type of venture without partners. I don't believe in that. You can't
Yeah.
do it all yourself. I
Exactly.
tell people all the time, I don't own this company. I met my partner who owned it. We became partners. He's still my mentor till this day. Especially in wholesaling, there's a ton of moving parts. There's a lot
right.
that needs to be done. If you guys want to be successful, you got to stop trying to be a one man show. Because I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people do it for the money. They want to keep that assignment fee. They want to say they started a business on their own, which is totally fine. But there's nothing wrong with having guidance and help. I mean, if you could find someone who's good at something and delegate them to do that one thing while you do something else, you're just going to grow faster. There's no need to be, the big boss or in charge of
Yeah.
everything. Work with
Yeah.
someone, figure out what you're good at, what they're good at, so you guys can just, stay in your lane, but work together and build something successful. So,
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. I think teamwork is huge. Also, what is like your business structure right now?
Yeah.
Since you have real estate side and the wholesaling side and the relationship between you and your partner.
yeah. So within the Great House Buyers team, I'm the acquisitions manager. I oversee the 5 callers we have. Anthony is dispositions, and he oversees the entire company. So transaction coordination, disposition, media, PPC, all that kind of stuff he oversees. And then, like I said, I handle the callers, and is kind of simple actually, if
That's
that's what your question
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we to also talk about finding the right mentor, like going back to to that point of asking for help. You know, a lot of us get into these wholesaling groups as well. So we join, you know, Chris Jefferson's Charged Up U.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, though, sometimes maybe we connect with perhaps other wholesalers who maybe aren't, you know, don't follow the rules as they should or aren't as professional. So I think it's really important that you vet out these people that you're needing help from. And I think we talk about all the time is like JV with each other, because a lot of times, like, you know, when you're starting off, like, yeah, doing it all on your own is a lot. So if you can kind of partner with somebody even temporarily, a couple deals, to kind of get a feel for it, that's another way to kind of also delegate, you know, a lot of the process of wholesaling. Like, hey, I'm really good at acquisitions. I'll bring the leads, I'll lock it up, and then, hey, I'm really good at the dispositions, let me, you know, take care of that. I think that alone really teaches you how to like see like how people handle different sides of the business. So I think it's great how you were able to, again, just kind of get in touch with this mentor and really grow your business. So what, I mean, sounds like your structure is good now, like now, but what did it take? Was there growing pains, like getting to that point? Like what, like to what, you know, show us a recipe.
Yeah.
Like what did you guys do to get to where you're at right now?
So that's a good question. And before I get into that, I want to kind of add on to what you were saying about when you find a mentor, vetting them out, and figuring out if it's a good fit. For us, it wasn't even a matter of, is this guy going to be a good mentor for me? I want to say I was 18. I was young. I was hungry. I was desperate. He told me, he's like, look, I've been doing it for I think it was 2 years before he met me. He was like, I think you'd be good at acquisitions. He taught me everything I know to this day. Like I said, he's still my mentor, and I listened. I trusted him, and because of that, I was able to grow and see the potential that I have in the acquisitions department. It wasn't like I was like, I need to vet you out. No, I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever you
Right,
say, I'm going to do it. You want me to drive for dollars? I got you. Like, it was like that.
Hmm.
He
right.
was advising me on what to do, and now where I am today, I understand the business because of that.
Hmm.
But yes, so as far as growing pains and what it took us to get to where we are, I mean, it was tough. I think it comes down to a matter of consistency, because at first, after watching so many YouTube videos, I was trying to do a lot. I was doing bandit signs, I was trying to send mail, I was cold calling, I was going to meetups, and I was putting a little bit of time into a lot of different areas.
Mm,
But what he helped me realize was putting a lot of time into maybe one or two areas is a lot better.
Hmm.
Spending 3 4 hours cold calling, which is what I did at the beginning, is what helped us, because
Yeah.
the consistent calls, bringing in people who want offers, it eventually snowballed into, okay, now we got 3 offers to make this week. In the beginning, that's how it was. We got 3 offers to
mhm,
make this week. And then I think it took me 2 months to get my first deal. And after I realized it was possible, I just didn't stop cold calling. The
Hmm.
hardest part I want to say is believing that it works, because spending 3 4 hours calling 5 days a week, getting cussed out, blown
Hmm.
off, it hurt me at the beginning. I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. But you just got to stick through it. I mean, if you're starting, you got to understand that this is real. If you have a really good team behind you, it's going to work. And so the hardest part is believing in yourself. I think if you can get past that and understand that, as long as you don't give up, something will happen for you, then it'll work out. And that's what it was for us. We just
Yeah.
kept it.
The I guess I wanted to ask you too, like when you got your first check, you know, what was that feeling like? Because I know how it felt when I got my first check. So I
You
just
guys are
wanted to
making me
ask you.
cry.
want to make make it
Yeah,
rain.
there you
Oh
go.
man,
So,
it was crazy. So I'm gonna paint a picture in your head. I was actually on vacation in California for like my birthday or
mhm.
something. And I got a call from him. He's like, Kayla, your first deal just closed. And I looked at my girlfriend and I'm like, babe, it worked. Like, it was the craziest thing ever. I cried in the front seat. I'm like,
Oh,
I can't believe,
uh,
I don't even remember how much it was. It's probably like a few thousand. I'm not sure. But the fact that I made a call, and this call that I made for the deal that closed, it was in college. I was in college. I was supposed to be in class. I ditched that day to do some cold calling, and it turned into a deal. And that's what prompted me to drop out. After I got my first check, I dropped out of college as well. So
Mm.
Mm.
it was crazy. It felt good. And that first check let me know this is real. Don't stop, keep going. And I did. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I
that's an
love that.
unbelievable feeling. I mean, like you put in the work and then the results are right there, right? And
Yeah.
whatever that amount is, it's still something that you achieved, and you can't, I don't know. That feeling it will always stay with you. I
You
think
never
that first
forget your
one.
first deal. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. Like, I think Maxwell kept saying, you're only one deal away. And
Hmm.
everyone would be like, you'll never forget. And I was like, oh, whatever, sure. And then when I closed my first deal and I still have the physical check, I'll probably frame it
Yeah, me
at
too.
some point. But like, but I was just like, no, they're right. Like I'll never forget my first deal. I know to this day, like all the ins and outs, like what the hoops I had to like run through to get this piece of paper that I'm depositing. It was definitely surreal.
Yeah.
And it does kind of give you that motivation of like, wow, I can actually do this. And it's also validating, right? To like, your loved ones to like, hey, all that grind, that I've been
Hmm.
working late nights, whatever, like it was worth it. I got this.
Exactly. And so there was a slight issue. Maybe I shouldn't call it an issue, but the first deal I closed was a very easy deal to close. There weren't any hoops
Mm.
to jump through. It was a cold call. He had me come over next week and we closed in like 2 weeks. It was very simple. And so I thought every deal is going to be like that. No, 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 no. I kind of got my feelings hurt after that because I realized, well, they want to sell, but oh man, someone lives out of state, or a whole bunch of issues started popping up, and I began doubting myself. Like, was that a one-time thing? Can I recreate this? And of course, I learned that I could, but it comes with experience. I mean, I think you just, like I said, believe in yourself and you get through it. But I really got to pay all credit to my mentor now, Anthony, who's also my partner. He taught me everything I know, and I'm so happy we met in
That-
2019.
Yeah,
That's
shout out to
awesome.
Anthony.
Yeah,
Shout
shout
out to
out.
Anthony. Cool.
Love it. So I always like to say too, like how your background kind of helps in establishing your business or like learning and like developing the skills to kind of run a business or acquisitions, whatever the case may be. Like, tell us how your mechanical engineer background, and maybe it did and didn't help at all, but how has like your background helped you in your journey, real estate journey?
Um, if I'm being honest, my background, I want to say hurt me more than it helped me. And not
Mm,
in a bad way, but being a math nerd, I mean, ever since elementary school, I was in love with math. I loved it, but it made me kind of an introvert, if
mm,
that's the right word. I was closed
mhm.
off. I just
Hmm.
literally from middle school to high school, I'd go home, do my homework, wake up the next day, go to school. No, really, I didn't really have friends or anything. And so I wasn't used to being open and talkative, which is why I still struggle with it today. Like I get anxiety talking to people or like doing stuff. But just going to appointments and talking to sellers, it was hard at the beginning. That's why I want to say it kind of hurt me. I had to adapt. I mean, standing in front of someone that I don't know face to face in their own home was scary. But
Yeah.
I learned, I adapted. I was used to not talking, and now I'm becoming a little more outgoing. So it didn't really help. Unless I come across a seller who's also good at math, and we can talk about like differential equations and stuff. Woo. But that's rare. If
Right.
it didn't really help. I was closed off, but I'm good now. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's important, right, to they talk about you're going in the right direction if you're uncomfortable with
Hmm.
something. Because a
yeah,
lot of times, like we maybe in other cases, some people will be like, nah, kind of dip their toe in, and they're like, no, it's too uncomfortable. People, I think as humans, we go towards like what's comfortable, and it's like it's not until we like step out of that shell and like get uncomfortable that's when you start kind of really seeing results, because you're just putting yourself out there, you're diving all the way in. So I totally like commend you for that. And I think also like putting yourself out there on social media too, I'm sure
Hmm.
that probably is intimidating, and the power of social media, because
Yeah.
that's kind of how we connected. was like, I saw you doing your thing, and I was fairly new too. I started the end of 2020, and so to kind of see your growth as well, and like how you do social media, like let's talk about how that has kind of either helped your business, like how have you kind of integrate that in your business?
Social media has definitely helped. I want to say personally, it's helped with my personality and how I can relate to
Mhm.
people. With me stepping out of my box, especially with TikTok, that's helped a
Yeah.
bunch
Mm,
Hmm.
because I can make like on TikTok, I have freedom to just do whatever. I can be funny because no one's around while I'm recording. I'm just gonna be posting it. So
Right.
I
right.
get to, be a little, make people laugh, do silly stuff. And when I see people comment or like it, I'm like, okay, maybe that was the. I'm still struggling on what is right and what is wrong in like a social setting. I don't really
Hmm.
Mm,
understand it, but TikTok has helped me to kind of be myself and open up a little bit. And then as far as the business side, whenever we close deals, because we have a business Facebook for the company,
mhm.
whenever we close deals and we post it, we're getting more insights, more views, and now we're getting people actually calling in to sell. So that's helped as far as lead generation and closing deals. But I want to say more than anything, personality wise, I've definitely grown because of social media.
Yeah, I think especially on TikTok, it helps people with their personality, right? Because I think TikTok is different from Facebook or Instagram, where it's more, I don't know, you have to have the right look or you have to have the right image filter or something like that. And I think TikTok is just raw and you can be yourself and just be funny and, kind of laugh at yourself while you're doing these videos, right? So you wouldn't do them, I guess, anywhere it like on Instagram, right? Now you can because of reels and stuff, but with TikTok, it's a fun environment to be kind of be yourself and play off of what other people are doing too. So I've been
Mhm.
checking you out. I've checked out your TikTok, so it's
Thanks.
good.
Yeah, it
So
definitely helped me realize what, like I said, what's right and what's wrong in the social setting. At first I was thinking, because I have a real estate Instagram, everything I post has to be serious real estate.
yeah,
But that's not
Right.
true. I mean, it's my Instagram. I realized I can post whatever I want to post.
yep,
So
yep,
creating TikToks helped me realize that now I can be funny, I can do whatever. And so it feels good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that like the world of wholesaling is up and down, right? And it's kind of a roller coaster sometimes with everything, especially with more deals coming in and more responsibilities. What is, I guess, your support group aside from your partner? Like, because I know that people sometimes close to us or friends might not understand the industry or whatever. So my question to you is like, what is kind of your support group outside of your business partner?
Yeah. So my support group also comes down to my why, which is my family. My mom, my brother, my dad, and my girlfriend.
Hmm.
Mainly my girlfriend. We actually just moved in together recently, and she helps me a lot. Like
That's awesome.
wholesaling,
Congratulations. That's awesome.
things. It stresses me out, especially because last 2 3 months we've been consistently closing 4 or 5 deals a month, and so once we reach that standard, it's like okay, we want to stay closing 4 to 5 deals a month. Now the pressure's on me. I'm acquisition, so I
Mhm.
now I'm reviving leads. I'm trying to set more appointments, and it stresses me out. When I'm with her, sometimes all I'm thinking about is work, but she calms me down sometimes. She'll cook some dinner and be like, "Relax, you're not working right now. Relax."
Right.
So that helps. She's a big part of how I can stay sane.
Yeah, I get you. My wife is definitely that for me. And we, especially in the beginning, where I was like, I felt like I had to do everything at once, and she was like,
Hmm.
"You need to, hello, hi, like,
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know, I exist too." And we kind of had to deal with that, like that work-life balance, or uh, you know, managing the business. And I still have my 9 to 5 too, so kind of like just juggling so many things. But at the end of the day, you're doing all this for your loved ones.
Absolutely.
You're not working towards to burn bridges and end up lonely because you've ignored everyone else. So I can totally understand that, where it's like it is important for us to wind down and reset, and not, it's not constantly about work. Work is still going to be there, business will still be there, but it's important, and we've talked about this a lot in previous episodes, of like whether it's your support system, like
Hmm.
you need that time to not just, it's the business isn't 24/7. So I think it's great that you have someone there that kind of knows how to calm you down when, like, I'm sure you go through so many stressful situations,
Yeah.
and
A lot of
just know
tears.
it's more than that. Yes.
A lot of tears. And really, I want to say end of the year, Christmas time is what helped me realize it because I got sick. It wasn't COVID, but I got sick. So I spent a lot of time with my mom and my brother, and I hadn't done so in like a long time. And being with them for
Mhm.
like a week straight, I was like, wow, okay, this is what it feels like to be with family again. So
Mm,
when
Mm.
January rolled around, I told everyone, like, I still get worked up about it. I told everyone, like, work's not everything. I mean, I'm here, I'm grinding, but when work's done, and it's family time. So
Mm.
yeah.
yeah,
I love that. I love
Setting
that.
those boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, like, vulnerability too, that we, again, like, society nowadays just really tries to, like, shove it down our throats, right? Like, no sleep, team no sleep,
yeah.
Mhm.
Like you
grind it
said,
out. If you're not working on weekends, you're
Yeah.
not, this, which is totally fine. If you're doing it on a healthy scale,
Mhm.
that's one
Mhm.
thing. And I've had to do that too with myself. Or like Sundays are my days off. I'm not doing anything. I
Yeah,
don't even want to
mine
look
yeah,
at
too.
my phone. I just want to do things that I enjoy. And like even Saturdays, I'm like, I'm only going to work a certain chunk because it's like you need that. Your body, your mind needs that. Like you can't run you're going to run out of fuel and burn out. And, I've gone through so many burnouts, and it's taken me so long to realize it, unfortunately, a
yeah.
little longer than I probably wanted to. But I think, yeah, with society like that, I mean, I follow a ton of these like business accounts and like motivational. A lot of it is that, and people like promote that. Like, how do you navigate that? I mean, now that you're kind of running a consistent, deals and business.
Well, it's super simple. Our team as well, Anthony and everyone on our team, we all kind of believe the same thing. We believe that family is important, especially after the end of last year. We always, no matter what's going on around us or what other people think, we emphasize taking time to be with your loved ones or the people that make you happy. Because we're not like when you think of a company, you think of you come in 9 to 5, you work and you leave. That's not how we are. We're super family oriented. Everyone here is
Mhm.
like a brother or sister to me. And so if something comes up, if you don't want to work tomorrow or can't work tomorrow or whatever, don't. If you have a wedding or something you want to go to, or you're taking a week with your family, go do that. We believe that you need time to yourself.
Mhm.
Mm.
So it doesn't really matter. Those no sleep people, they can have it. I love my sleep. If
That's
that's
what
what
I've been
works for them,
saying.
that's for
Yeah.
them. But we believe in happiness and freedom too, or else you really can't be at your best when work, when it is time to work. So you just, be
Yeah.
flexible.
I love that because you're building a culture within your company of your employees, right? You're setting certain standards, but also some freedoms too, because they're all adults, but they all have different lives and different ways of handling stress or business, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that you're building that kind of culture within your company, and I know a lot of people are now just solo doing it solo, but this is a testament of actually building a business and how you kind of build that culture too. So that
Exactly.
I definitely love that
Yeah, and
aspect.
Anthony's the one. Like I said, he started the company when I met him. It's Great House Buyers is the name of the company, but Great stands for Genuine Real Estate Acquisitions and Talents. That's the name he came up with. And
Mm.
so
Mm,
when I met him, and when everyone else met him, he was like, "Look, we're genuine. Like you said, we're building a culture here, a genuine culture. We want everyone here to be like family, and we stand by that every day." It was a great name.
I love that. I love the little acronyms in that, and
mhm,
like how you from the jump from the foundation built is culture. It's your core values and
mhm.
what it is, and that and it starts from the partners on. You can always tell. I mean, I've worked for
Yeah.
various companies. You can always tell when like the partnership or if the team upstairs executive team is off, where it's like, okay, you're telling me this, but you don't go by that. Like
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
hella rude, or you're a douche or whatever, like, and I think when in building your team, I'm sure they see that, and like it starts from the top down of like, all right, well, if they're telling me to take time off, like and they're taking time off, like like I don't feel inclined to, because sometimes when they may say it, leadership may say it, but they're not taking time off. And you're
Right.
kind of like, well, should I, And so I think that's really great. And to hear that you're at a team of 7, like,
Mm,
tell us about like that, how it what it's been like building a team, because I think this is really important for those that of us that want to treat this like a real business. And like, what does it look like in bringing on like really like powerful people that can kind of jump on and are on board. I think you said you have 3 internal or US based teams, or in
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah. So we have 3 people actually boots on the ground in Vegas, myself, Anthony, and our other partner, Chris. And
Hmm.
then the other 4 team members we have are not in Vegas. One of them is in the US, and then the others are in the Philippines and elsewhere.
mm,
But
Got it.
so building the team, at first it was tough. Like when it was just Anthony and I, and we brought on our first team member, it was a little hard because we didn't really have like business practices. We didn't establish what should be done or what shouldn't be done, like guidelines for our company, because we were
Mm-hmm.
still new working together. But
Mm-hmm.
now where we are, I mean, I've created like acquisitions documents, like an onboarding process, to where when people come on now, we've got training videos on our systems and processes. So now it's within 24 hours, they already know exactly what to expect and how to use the system, rather than spending a week or two kind of trying to walk them through step by step. So what we
Mm.
do is every week, for every team member, we hop on a one-on-one. Anthony will hop on it. I'm on the one-on-ones every 2 weeks. Anthony's on it every week.
mhm.
And then Anthony and I also have 2 manager meetings every week. And so everyone's in touch week in, week out, getting updates on what's going on, personally and in business, what could be
That's good.
improved. Yeah, we're always talking to each other to figure out, if something's not working, how can we change it? Or if something is working, can we duplicate that in other areas to kind of, 10x the results we're seeing. So
That's awesome. I love that. And how fast did you guys scale? Like, is it, that from that one person to the second person to your seventh
um,
person?
I don't have like a hard actual timeline, but I want to say it was about every 6 months we were adding someone. I know Jeff joined summer of 2020, and then we found Chris. Yes, about every 6 months we added someone on. Once we brought someone in, and they learned the processes, they were able to call and believe in their capabilities. Once we no
Hmm.
longer had to train them on how to do it, we would go look for someone else and just go from there. And that time frame took about 6 months per person. So
That's cool.
That's
until we get someone else on.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. People, I think, miss the mark on this, and like you said, we need to be communicating at all times, because when you and doing like weekly check-ins, like that's usually unheard of, especially from partnerships where it's like you're checking in with everyone, because a lot of times people let so much time go by, and
Hmm.
maybe there is an issue, maybe people don't feel comfortable talking about it, or they just want to comply to whatever they're being told. But having that constant check-in actually really helps alleviate these sort of uncertainties or questions that may come up, where you guys can solve it on the spot. I think it's great that that you guys do that, because I think anybody who's building a business or bringing on hires, like, communication is super key. Setting the right expectations. You're constantly evolving and changing stuff. Things for you guys, like whatever was happening 3 months ago, maybe isn't the case anymore. Like, I don't know if that's the case, but I think communication is so key in like building your team,
Hmm. Hmm.
when it comes to that. So I think it's great, because Tim and I, we're still solo, but
Hmm.
we're working with each other. So we're JVing either with each other or with other people. I think Chris Jefferson also has like a JVing program as well, where we're part of. So either way, like you said, you can't do it on your own, and we know at some point we're going to have to hire somebody. But um, how do you feel about those people that say you have to hire a VA right away, or maybe you
Hmm.
shouldn't hire a VA? To what extent should you have a couple deals under your belt to hire? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, because I get people who tell me, "Hey, I'm new to wholesaling. I hired a VA," and I'm like, "Well, do you know the 4 pillars of qualification?" And they cannot answer that.
Yeah.
So my thing is this: if you whatever you're hiring for, if you have mastered that area, it's time for you to hire.
Mm-hmm.
If you can answer any question asked to you about that subject or recreate it and see results, it's time for you to hire. I think you can't be brand new into something or only know some of it and hire someone, because how are you going to train them? The people that you're hiring, and unless it's from a really good agency or company, they're not going to know more than you about this subject. I mean, because
Right.
you're doing the
Mm-hmm.
hiring. So if any of you guys watching this are thinking about hiring like a VA or a cold caller or something like that, make sure you know how to cold call as well. I mean, you don't have to necessarily close a deal. I would recommend you close a deal first, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to. But if you can handle all rebuttals, because there's a lot of rebuttals you will get, if you know how to handle those and you're able to teach someone else how to handle those, then I think you'll be fine hiring. But just don't jump in too fast, because it's pointless to hire someone and not know what to tell them or where to guide them. You'll be wasting money that way. So
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Tim?
No, I was just going to agree with them, and that's a really good point because I think you need to master, what, especially being on the phones and how to talk to people and what the rebuttals are, and if you haven't gone through it yourself, how are you going to train someone else to do that, right? And
yeah,
Yeah.
so, like you're saying, it's really ideal if you have closed a deal because you can even there's certain things that sellers ask during closing, and you have to, or something comes up during closing and you have to be able to answer those questions too. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I totally agree with you on that.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's funny because we also run into like people who are newbies, like, oh, should I hire a VA? And they have no idea. Like, I'm like, what's your budget? Like, because VAs like vary too. Like, their VAs are expensive too. If like depending on what your budget is, and by the time like, what if you run out of funds and then you have to let this person go? There's not a solid system around. So um, I think even with Chris, like we always say, document your process at when you're like solo, like document what that process looks like. All right, I'm cold calling. Let me document or do a loom. Like we're big on looms, creating
Yeah.
like video recordings where it's like, all right, this is what I do. This is how I go on the dialer. This is how I do the script. This is how I SMS. This I respond to seller. Whatever the case may be, document your process because by the time you're ready, you have this like library of documentation that you can hand off. That's probably the easiest
bingo.
way instead of
Hmm.
doing it on the spot.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's exactly how we do it. When you guys mentioned how's the onboarding process for new hirees, everything acquisitions that I've done, I have it loom recorded. It's in a file. So whoever comes on board gets that file. They watch it, and if there's any questions after that, we'll review, specific topics. But it's super simple if you can keep a, file, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. Ngozi here, shout out. She has a really good question. Did you scale every 6 months by adding a new cold caller, and were you closing deals to be able to do that? I hope I make sense.
Yeah, no, you make sense. Like I said, the 6 months isn't a hard, like I don't have a definite every 6 months. That's just an estimate. But yes, about every 6 months we were adding a cold caller, and every caller we added was able to bring in more deals. And yes, we were able to close more deals in result of that. So it was like this. When we brought on our first partner, let's say he made 3 or 4 hours of calls every day, and so did I. We'd bring in maybe 30 leads, and then we bring in another cold call after 6 months. Now we're bringing in 40 leads. So every time we brought in someone new and trained them, they were able to just, it's a numbers game. They were able to make more calls, bring in more people who made more offers, and because we're making more offers, we're closing more deals. I hope
Yeah.
that answers your question.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so too.
yeah. So are you guys just in the Vegas market at the moment? Are you guys thinking of venturing out if you haven't?
Yeah, great question. So right now we are in the Vegas market specifically, but we're getting into Scottsdale a little bit. We're actually
Nice.
working
Okay.
on a lead right there at the moment. And a year ago or a year and a half ago, we were also in the Cleveland market, but we have since backed
Mm.
out of Cleveland. Yeah, but right now just Vegas. We do look at deals everywhere. Like people will send us deals in different states, and we will
Hmm.
always look at it to see if there's some JV potential. Vegas first, Scottsdale second, and anywhere else we'll look at.
That's cool.
Mhm.
How does the real estate, agent side work for you guys? So like, if it's not a wholesale deal, do they want full retail? Is that something that you ask them? Walk us through that process, so people can get an understanding how a real estate agent, works with wholesaling at the same time. So.
Of course, of course. So, my first goal always, based on what they tell me, is to see if they want a cash offer. I'll qualify them, or one of our other team members will qualify with the 4 pillars. For those of you watching, if you guys don't know the 4 pillars, it's condition, timeline, motivation, and price. Getting all those pieces of information will let you know exactly what vibe this lead is, if it's going to be retail or wholesale.
Hmm.
Right.
Based on that, if they don't want a cash offer, like let's say I read the notes and the house was just 100% remodeled last year. They want top dollar. I'm not going to make a cash offer and insult them.
Right.
I'm going
Right.
to reach out to them, say, hey, I'm Kayla with Compass Realty and Management. You spoke with my partner. Sounds like you're looking to sell this property. And then once they say, yeah, I confirm some facts, I'll say, you know what? I do think you might have better chance of listings on the market for top dollar. Is that something you're thinking about? And if they say yes again, I'll set the appointment. That's how the last 2 listings I had went. And we signed the listing docs in person. So,
That's awesome.
mhm,
I love that. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it's pretty like straightforward. But what was that adjustment like? Like once you got your real estate license, was it easy to kind of like transition, or did it take some adjustments?
It took some adjustments because a wholesaling brain is what I had, but now I
Right.
have to have my realtor brain, and I'm still learning how to separate the two because before I got my license, it was only cash offers, cash offers, cash
Right.
offers. Now I kind of have to use my better judgment, review each lead individually, maybe listen to the call and say, all right, should I make a cash offer? Should I see if they're even interested, or should I just go for the listing immediately? On top of that, I know a lot of sellers, at least in Vegas, that I speak to, they don't like agents. So it's a little tough
Right.
for me because I am an
Mm,
agent. I'm like, okay, should I have my partner call this one? Should I call
mm.
this one? So it's just a matter of adapting, at which I still am. I'm still adapting. But the switch was simple as far as figuring out if it's going to be a listing or a cash offer. That was pretty much common sense based on the 4 pillars that we had.
Right.
Mhm.
Cool. So we have some questions here.
Yeah.
Sina, shout out Sina. Are you sending out text too? So yeah, what marketing channels are you
Hmm.
currently besides cold calling?
Besides, so we were doing texting a lot, but there's also a lot of texting regulations going on now.
Mm,
So we have since stopped text blasting. What we will do though is like individual texting. Let's say we have a lead who kind of ghosted us, maybe 3 or 4 calls and no answer. We'll send out an individual text here and there, and it works for us. I think we've closed 5 or 6 text deals. But to answer your question, no, we're not sending out text blasting anymore. We have done direct mail. We still do direct mail,
Hmm.
except our direct mail is targeted. We're not sending out a blast list. What we're doing is taking leads that we've spoken to and sending it just to those people in particular, just higher conversion rate. So we've got mail, we've got some SEO, and cold calling. That's what we do right now.
nice. And what would you say out of those 3 channels? Like, what's your bread and butter? Is it still cold calling or?
Cold calling,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, for those of you watching, if you haven't cold called, the response rate out here, at least in Vegas, is very low, meaning you can call 100 people and maybe you only speak to 10,
Sounds
maybe
like
less.
Cali.
Sounds like
Yeah,
Cali. Yeah.
you speak to 5 or 10, but those 5 or 10 you speak to, if you can convert them, I mean, there's a lot of potential out here in Vegas. And
Hmm.
that's why I think that's why it was tough for myself and a lot of other wholesalers to get started because they don't have someone telling them this is normal. Yeah, you're making a
Hmm.
lot of calls and not getting answers. That is normal. So yeah, that's sorry to get off track. But yeah,
No,
our
No, you're
bread and
good.
butter
good.
is
You're good.
cold calling, low response rate, but still a lot of potential out there.
Nice. So how many calls do you guys make a day?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that depends on how many people we have calling. Let's say on a Monday, we'll have 3 people calling. We'll probably make 600 calls that day. And then so a total of maybe 3,000 a week.
Not
Okay.
bad.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's good. And then
yeah.
how many of those calls are actual conversations? Do you know that? Do you break it
Yeah,
down
I do
like that?
about
Okay, great.
6%. About 6%. Our response rate for the last 2 months has been like 6.5 to 7%. So call 100 people, you speak to 6. It's
Interesting.
very it's very low. We've been noticing. I maybe you guys have too, a spam risk lately. Are you guys running into that issue?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're doing to kind of get in front of that is we not only do we buy new numbers, but now I do spam check daily. So all the numbers that we used to call, I will see if they're currently marked as spam because it's
Mm,
pointless to be making calls if you're showing up as a scam risk on someone's phone.
right.
Right.
So I think that's one thing that plays into our low response rate. I just, need to stay on top of it more often. But yeah, sick to
Yeah,
sick.
that's been a conversation we've had as well with like these carriers, all the carrier regulations, either on SMS and also like identifying these calls. So there are like websites you can check if it's a spam, or you can even call yourself, whatever the case. But it's difficult too because each carrier is different. So
Yeah.
we've even found like, all right, if I call a Verizon phone, it's fine, but if I call T-Mobile phone, it shows up spam. So it's like, what do
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
do?
Yeah.
Exactly. And since we can't do it all, we can't call every carrier and be able to know.
Right.
I call myself. I have Verizon, and then my girlfriend has T-Mobile, so I'll call myself and her sometimes and kind of do it that way. I mean, that's the best we can do. So
Yeah.
Right. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody needs to come up with the software. Maybe that's
there
the
Exactly.
you
business
go.
Shout out.
idea. There we go.
Someone out there.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Cool. We have some other questions. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Dalen, shout out. So, how long is the turnaround for listing deals from close to check?
Great question. That totally depends because with a listing, we don't choose the closing date. The buyer
Right.
does.
Hmm.
But even if the buyer wants to choose their closing date, it really comes down to loan processing, title company. There's a lot of
Exactly.
moving parts. So to give you guys an example, there was a listing I closed back in January. We were supposed to close on the 17th. We ended up closing on the 19th. Seller was kind of upset. But you can expect 30 days or less. In the Las Vegas market, if everything goes smoothly within 30 days, you can close. But that's not always guaranteed.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Cena has another question. Do you like being a wholesaler more or being a realtor more?
Okay. I don't know what to say. No, I'm just kidding. I like both.
All
I
right,
mean,
hold on. What's the biggest check? No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. Right.
um, I I like both. The reason I like the realtor, okay, I'm gonna do my pros and cons if that's okay, Cena.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the realtor side, I love the fact that because I'm a realtor, I did have to learn what, the do's and the don'ts. I have a lot of background knowledge as far as um, what's ethical and what isn't. So when I'm talking to a seller, I'm able to answer the questions. I'm able to know that I'm conducting business properly. But on the flip side, like I said, there's a lot of stuff you cannot do. Like when I'm posting on social media, there's some stuff I just can't put in my posting. I have to include my license number, my brokerage, and sometimes it just gets a little annoying to me. But on the wholesaling side, I really like how much of a person I can be. Like, I feel like with being a realtor, I have to always bring up rules, regulations to the seller when I'm speaking. It's more like a business professional setting, which is totally fine.
Hmm.
But with the wholesaling side, when I'm at an appointment, I feel like I can be more myself. I'm really listening to the seller because they're in distress situations.
Right.
We're not talking about commissions and things like that. We're talking about,
Hmm.
wow, I'm sorry that happened to you. Like, what can we do to help? And so I'm able to be more of a human on the wholesaling side
Mm.
rather than just commissions, closing dates, bank payoff and stuff like that. So,
Right.
to answer your question, I kind of do like the wholesaling side more, but
Mm.
they're both great. I like the fact that I am both.
No, that's good because I think it kind of falls into like wholesaling is, solving that problem for that seller,
Right.
right? And building that rapport with that seller and understanding their situation and having different options for them, right? And then the realtor is like, okay, we're just going to list it. I'm going to try to find a buyer for you, all this stuff. And it's very kind of, um,
It's very technical.
yeah, exactly.
Very
Technical,
technical. And
right?
in my experience with the listings, the sellers, that's what they want. They want me to list it and they want me to have it sold. There's less of a personal connection.
Mm,
Exactly.
Um, that's just how it's been with the listings I had. So I really like how I can connect with the seller on the wholesale side.
Right. Awesome.
definitely.
Mhm.
So, I know we're coming on the last couple 10 minutes or so. What's next for Kayla? And
Yeah.
like, I saw you doing your fitness journey too, like, going like personal, like you got in
Hmm.
shape. Like that's a huge like what personally, professionally, like what's coming up next?
Thanks. Okay. So personally, as far as the fitness, um, So my original goal last summer, I can't remember what my goal was actually, but I was like 160 something. I lost 30 something pounds, and so here I am at 120 something. Woo, feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
let's
shout out.
go.
But my
Congrats.
trainer I spoke with my trainer and we figured I should make a harder goal. So now I want to get abs. That's my new goal, is to get abs, which is harder than I thought. I thought it was just a matter of losing weight, but I already lost the weight and I
Uh,
still don't have abs. So like, what's going on?
you
I
gotta
don't know.
train them muscles, girl.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So personally, that's what's next for me. I really want to get my summer body ready. Business wise, so we want to do our flip soon, and we're hoping March
Mm,
is going to be that month. Since we are consistently seeing deals close, we have more deals to kind of cherry pick and say, okay, this one we're going to wholesale, this one we're not.
Right.
mhm,
But
mhm.
because the wholesale deals have been fairly decent financially. We're kind of just sticking and moving right now, building our capital for that flip. And then when March rolls around, we want to take that down. And then we also eventually want to do a burr out of state. And so I've been researching different loan types, how to get that done, different markets, things like that. And so, but that project's going to be later this year, maybe August, September. But flip and burr is next on our agenda for this year.
I love
Love
it.
it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm myself, I'm looking into either like house hacking or something along those lines, and also kind of doing burrs as well. I mean, I think if you treat it again like this business, right, you shouldn't like wholesaling
Mhm.
maybe is like foundation, but
Exactly.
like you shouldn't just do that. Like it's about creating different verticals. I think Chris always mentions that. So I think it's great to kind of exploring like flipping and kind of getting a feel for that, and as well like developing your own portfolio if that is what you guys want to do too, like a rental portfolio or Airbnbs, whatever the case may be. It's wholesaling that really starts that,
Right.
and I think
Exactly.
that's great.
Like you said, it's the foundation. Wholesaling builds the capital and it's going to help us expand into, new niches.
Love it.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Ngozi here has a question. I know you said you do targeted mailings. Do you cold call them first and then send out mail to the address?
Yes, we do. So when I said targeted mailings, these are leads that they're actual leads, people who have wanted to sell or do plan to sell, but maybe it's sometime further out or they ghosted us. We will send mail to those people. So they were cold called once, and because they were cold called and let us know they want to sell,
Mhm.
now we're going to send them a mail piece. It's not like pulling a list and mailing. We're
Right.
Right.
actually, like I said, targeting them. Yes, they were cold called and then they get mailed.
That's
Got
awesome.
it.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm loving all the questions today.
I know. I love this interaction.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I was gonna ask, so what's the Vegas market? What are those assignment fees like? Like, like I'm curious if it's compared to like, would you compare it to like Cali or anything like that?
I'm not sure what the assignment fees are like in Cali. We've never closed a deal in Cali.
Mhm.
What are they like out there?
Um, they can range from anywhere from uh, 10 to 50 to 100. So it just depends
Gotcha.
Yeah.
on what you're getting. So
Okay. Well, because, and I hope you guys can understand this, because I do, like I said, I have a team behind me. I don't want to mention numbers. I don't want to
Right.
tap anyone's pockets or throw out what we're making as a company. I know a
Sure.
lot of people do that. It's like a thing in the wholesaling community, but the assignment checks, they are nice. They're decent for everyone on the team to be able to benefit from it. I'm sure checks we get in Vegas are similar to those you see in Cali or elsewhere. I
mhm,
prefer not to throw out hard
of course,
numbers if
No,
that's
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I
totally
mean,
respect
obviously
that.
it's been doing well. The business is doing well,
Hmm.
and everybody's eating. I think that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
I was kind of curious, like because people say Vegas is such a competitive market,
Hmm.
but then you're out here like killing it, and closing deals on a consistent basis. Um, so I never like to say like anything is competitive. It's like
Hmm.
it's like adapting to what's given to you. It sounds like what you guys are doing, you guys figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super competitive. What it really comes down to is not only acquisitions. I know I said consistency is important. It's a numbers game. The more cold calls you make, the more deals you get. But Anthony on the dispo side has found some really great strategic partners for us. So for a typical wholesaler, the numbers might look too tight. But for us and the resources we have, we're able to get a deal done. And so it's not just a matter of, how big is the check? It's a matter of, can we
Mm.
close this deal and
Yep.
help the seller? That's
Exactly.
all we're
Right.
focused on. I don't care if it's a $50 assignment fee. We don't care.
Hmm.
Oh
If
yeah.
Yep.
the seller is happy, if the buyer is happy, we're all happy. So
And that's
Yeah.
the play right there, because I think a lot of wholesalers don't think, they think of the bag first,
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
right?
Yes.
And they don't think about helping people, right? So I think that's if you get a $50 bag, or you know whatever the
Well,
case
Wholesale's
is.
like, shoot, that can pay for a service or
oh,
something.
I
Like,
know,
just an
yeah.
people try to
example.
Hey.
downplay. They're like, oh, I got $1,000. I'm like, I'll take that right now.
Right. No, we don't really get $50 assignment fees, but it was just, an example. Even if it
No, no,
was,
no, I get
we're
you.
not going to say we're passing on that because it's only this amount. No, that's not what we're in the business to do. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Love it. Well, Kayla, I really appreciate you hopping on. Before we go, is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Any inspiration or
Oh,
whatever
for
the case
sure.
may be?
Yes. Okay. Two things. First thing is I want to kind of go back into helping the seller when it comes to wholesaling. That is it should be your main priority with
Yes.
us, just to give you guys some examples of what you can do and what we do. I mean, we're willing to, just our most recent deal, help the sellers move. We, at our
Hmm.
expense, will pay for movers. We'll pay for a U-Haul truck to help them get, organized and move to their new place. We're able to provide funds up front to help them move. I mean, you kind of got to be selfless in this
Hmm.
business.
Mm,
Put the seller and all the other parties first, and I promise you, you guys will see the results of that. It's just karma. That's how it works.
Yeah.
yes.
Um, and the second thing, kind of touching back on what you said, Gladia, getting out of your comfort zone. Brent Daniels actually taught me this on the podcast. When you're doing something and it feels uncomfortable, it's probably the right thing for you to be doing, especially in the wholesaling business. I mean,
Hmm.
when I first started and when I told my dad, hey, dad, I'm dropping out of college and quitting my job, he was not supportive of that. I mean,
Of
now he
course.
is. Now he is.
Right. Right.
But I mean, there's people who are going to doubt you. You're going to doubt yourself. But it's a matter of, first of all, finding someone or a group who can help you, who has common goals in mind and can help you believe in yourself. And then a matter of getting it done, just taking action, getting uncomfortable, and just moving forward. That's all you really can do until you get to where you need to be. So,
That's
I love
awesome.
it. That's
I
it.
love it.
It's
Yeah.
just keep it simple. No, no, you're math whiz. Don't complicate it. Like no
Yeah.
yeah,
crazy formulas. Just keep it simple. Take action and surround yourself with people, like-minded people. That is going to take you further.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
absolutely. Yeah, I love that too. So how do people get a hold of you if they
Yeah.
want to tap in, or
Yeah,
Or
contact
if
yeah.
they need to sell their house, I don't know. They want to
Exactly. There you go.
list their
Yeah.
house.
Okay, so if you need to sell your house, whether it's a cash offer or a listing, go to greathousebuyers.com. That is gr8housebuyers.com. If any of you guys want to get in touch with me, I'm on Instagram at Kayla Buys Houses. I'm on Facebook at Kayla Holbert, and I'm also on YouTube as Kayla Buys Homes. So you can email, text, DM. I would prefer DM, but you could call me if you wanted to. Let's chat. Reach out to me anytime, guys.
Love it. Love it.
Love it.
Oh my
Kayla, this was
gosh.
fun. You're not as
Yeah,
nervous
super
anymore,
fun.
are you? It wasn't that bad.
No, I'm holding on my bracelet, so it helps me. But
Oh, good.
no,
No,
that
it's
was
true.
super fun.
I have a little thing too. Those
Yeah.
little things that shake. So, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for your questions, like for being so
Yeah,
interactive. I love it.
I love it.
Appreciate you, Kayla, again for hopping on.
Yes,
Tap
thank you.
in with her after the show. We'll make sure to kind of add her information in the description afterwards. But
Hmm.
guys, as always, appreciate you. Get the Bag podcast every Wednesdays, 8 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. EST. We have another guest next week.
Yes, we
Stay
do.
tuned for that. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you
Have a
guys for
great
having
day.
me.